Drivers, start your engines!
This is MRN Motorsports Monday, presented by Outback Steakhouse. One full hour of news, interviews, and opinion about the past weekend's racing action. Brought to you by Hercules Tires.
Pace car is on.
Now, here are your hosts, Woody Kane and Joey Meyer.
Green flag, green flag.
Welcome to Motorsports Monday, presented by Outback Steakhouse. The regular season is in the books, and that gives my co-host Joey Meyer an opportunity to say,
if the chase started now, but it doesn't. It is starting now.
It is starting now.
It is starting now.
Look at that
The chase.
smile. He's thrilled. Finally, it comes true.
26 down, 10 to go.
That's exactly right. And now we get into eliminations. We get into that playoff-type format. It all begins to come true this weekend at Chicagoland Speedway. But first, we need to remind you, you should swing by Outback Steakhouse. Check out the Joey menu. He thinks it's for him. It's really for kids. All kinds of great specials for lunch starting at $6.99. And since Kevin Harvick finished in the top 10 on Saturday night at Richmond, that means you can get a free
Bloomin' Onion.
Bloomin' Onion because of that victory. Not a victory, but a victory for us as fans since we get something for free. Go by and get that free Bloomin' Onion since Kevin Harvick finished in the top 10. Outback Steakhouse done right. Don't forget to try their center cut sirloin. Their new app is fantastic. All kinds of cool things you can do with that. Swing by, go to lunch, tell them either Joey sent you to check it out, and it'll be fantastic.
A little unknown fact is the Joey menu is actually a subliminal diet menu because all the portions are much smaller. So it's actually a lower caloric intake for your desires if you feel like going. Anything on the Joey menu will be a lower volume to eat.
Okay, are you through? Are you through? Have you been practicing this all weekend?
No, it just dawned on me. It's like
all
everybody's health conscious. If you want to go to Outback and eat healthy, get your free Bloomin' Onion, order something on the Joey menu. It's smaller portions done for you.
There you go. There's your marketing department Outback right there. Anyway, check them out for lunch. We've got a lot to talk about on the program today. Denny Hamlin won the race at Richmond. His crew chief, Mike Wheeler, is going to join us a little bit later on in the program to talk about how they did that and how they look ahead with the chase beginning at Chicagoland Speedway this weekend. We saw Kyle Busch dominate the Xfinity Series on Friday night and take yet another victory there. And he went into that race saying, well, I've got probably a 7th or 8th place car, and then crush the field.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Mike Wheeler and Denny, I'd be essentially worried about moving forward. You know, they only led 189 of those 400
Is that
laps.
all?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm really concerned because a competitor of theirs running their same cars led a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. But did you feel like in that race, I know that Denny led a big number on Saturday and Kyle did on Friday. The Friday race felt more dominant. It felt like Denny had many more challenges and many more things to overcome than Kyle did.
After Friday's race, I would have won a bet had I said Kyle led every lap, even though I'd have been wrong.
Yeah.
And I would have lost the bet if somebody said Denny led almost half the race. I'd have been like, you're crazy, because there was a lot of activity. It wasn't one driver driving away from the field. It was watching these guys battle back and forth. We had a couple of green flag stops. We had several yellow flag stops, a lot of pit road action.
Even a red flag.
Even a red flag, which we get to talk about that idiocy later on.
Wait, that what?
Idiocy.
There you go. All right up front. You're not going to make us wait for the word of the day. There you go.
These guys, some of the best drivers in the world become the biggest idiots in the world. It's
That's
just a shame.
It happens.
But
Competition
I wouldn't
brings
have,
out the best and the worst.
Until we saw the stats at the end of the race, I would have never guessed that Denny led almost half the race because it just didn't seem that way. There was so much racing going on, whether you were racing for first and second or 21st and 22nd. There was a lot of activity. Richmond became one of the widest short tracks we race on. They were racing from the very bottom to the very top and anywhere in between.
We talked a couple of weeks ago after they put the resin, VHT, PBQ, RDY, whatever you want to call it, at Bristol to help that bottom groove as you take a look at the standings there. And there was a lot of talk about should we do it at other tracks? Should we try it at some places, in particular Richmond, where you and I talked before about how people have a tendency to romanticize the past, and that turned out to be the case with the sealer at Richmond. We did a thing in our pre-race show at MRN with Dennis Bickmeyer, the track president, and he went back and checked to see exactly what the history was, because there's an impression that A, they've been doing this sealer up until very recently, and B, it was the best thing ever. Well, not so much, according to the track president. He had quotes from drivers who loved it going in and hated it coming out.
Yeah, because it actually wore out during the race and created more of a one-groove mentality than it did in the beginning of the race. So it actually narrowed the track as the racing went on. And what we saw Saturday night and even Friday night with the Xfinity race is, instead of starting out wide and getting narrow with the sealer time, it actually started out narrow and grew as the track went on. And there was some concern Saturday night with the cooler temperatures that maybe the track wasn't going to do that. And some of the crew chiefs were talking, if it didn't, we had to run the bottom. But we did see enough high temperatures and enough tire wear to make it wide as possible. Kudos to everybody there, especially Goodyear, because they had a tire that A, didn't fail, but wore out.
Right.
New tires.
And when you say that, it's kind of counterintuitive, because people think, wait, you don't want your tires to wear out. You do, but gradually and to a certain point.
When we talk about wearing out on the Goodyear side of tires, we want tires to fall off. We want a new tire to have advantages over an old tire. And we definitively saw that with speeds. You run 10, 12 laps on tires and the caution come out, everybody's coming back down. And if you took the opportunity to stay out, it was just a couple of laps before you got swallowed up with the guys with new tires. And that's what we want. We want, as racers, we want to come down pit road and have that challenge of putting new tires on and being able to beat you because you don't have new tires on.
And that came to be a big storyline in the race on Saturday night, because a lot of guys were facing, okay, I've only got 2 sets of tires left. I've only got 1 set of tires left. When do I play that card?
Yeah, we actually were down to our last set of tires and ran out at the end when we took our last set at the we stayed out one time with a bunch of leaders, and there was a group that took their last set because they were actually wave arounds. And it's an interesting strategy. When you start running poorly and you take a wave around, you actually avoid a pit stop by taking the wave around. Well, that means when everybody else pitted and you didn't, you gained a set of tires.
Yeah.
Well, once you got back on the lead lap and the caution comes out, you're sitting there with an extra set of tires.
If it came out early enough to help you.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So then a lot of the leaders stay out and they don't come down and get tires. Boom, you've got your extra set of tires. You're lined up 18th or so because that's all there were on the lead lap, and you're able to charge at the front. We saw a good group of cars do that, namely Kyle Larson did it late in the race as well.
Yeah, sure did. And it turned out to make it very interesting in terms of strategy and drama and all the different scenarios playing out. But as we mentioned, Denny Hamlin was the winner. Here's what he had to say following his victory at Richmond.
Danny, so many things to talk about. Let's start with, had a set of tires in the pits, and you and Mike Wheeler had to decide whether or not you come down pit road or not a couple of different times. Your thoughts on how that played out and your part in that decision?
I thought we should have come, but he knew that we had a good enough buffer, and he knew our teammates were also thinking about staying out there. So, it was hard for me to believe that old tires were going to win the race, but those guys started too far back to really get to us. So, great call by him. Like I say, we're from top to bottom, from the pit crew to the crew chief and driver, everyone executed well today.
And the third win puts you seated third, so that has to be big for you. How do you feel about the momentum you guys have going into the chase?
Well, definitely feel like we have a lot of momentum. We've been quietly experimenting on things throughout the summer months, but I tell you, we've really been on a roll here over the last 2 months, and it's just fun when you go to the racetrack and know you can win.
There you go, Denny Hamlin, who gets his third career his third career pole at Richmond. Then he got the win in the hometown crowd for him and all that goes with that. And he mentioned momentum. Is that a real tangible thing in the chase?
Absolutely. When you have it, it's an advantage, man. Yeah, I have it and you don't. When you don't, you're going, it doesn't mean anything. It's kind of like when you wreck your primary car. What's the first thing you hear?
No, the backup car.
The backup car is just as good, if not better.
Then why didn't you start with that?
Exactly
one?
right. So momentum is exactly like that. It's yours to utilize. If you don't have it, it doesn't mean anything. Interesting thing was Denny actually gave kudos to his pit crew. The pit crews haven't been talked about here in a while.
Well, since last week, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, exactly.
They made some changes on the 4-car, and they didn't really have any issues that
Yep.
people went, oh, here we go again, and start all that conversation over again.
But it's that slippery slope that when the drivers talk about pit crews, inevitably what happens the following week is they step on their own toes. And we saw that with Kevin Harvick, who
got a speeding penalty.
He got a speeding penalty. Clearly unhappy with his pit crews the last couple of weeks. They make some big changes. They bring over some crew members from Danica Patrick's team, and they swap on the front tire carrier, tire changer, who they had a great night. But then the driver makes a small mistake and loses all those positions that they gained for all of it. Those guys who are able to claw back in, and because of that, you get to go to the Joey menu, the diet menu.
There you go.
The lower caloric intake, Outback Health.
That was word salad from Joey Meyer right there. All right, we're going to take a quick time out here on Motorsports Monday, but as we do, Kyle Busch is the top seed in the chase, the defending Sprint Cup Series champion. Here's what he had to say following the race at Richmond.
You're the defending champ. You're the number one seed. What's your strengths going into the chase, and what do you feel are any concerns you have going in the chase?
My strengths are my teammates, but no, I don't know. I mean, we have strengths here or there, and we've got weaknesses here or there. I mean, it can be all within a race, you know, so it's just a matter of trying to put everything together, get the right amount of points that we need through the particular rounds, and get ourselves to transfer through. So, you know, last year we were the last car that transferred through every single time, and we ended up winning the deal. So this year we just got to kind of do the same thing. You know, it doesn't matter if you're first or last all through the rounds. As long as you do get through, you want to just make sure that you can do what you can in the next one.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
In the Outback, we think the best part about racing is the noise, the engine, the pits, and a Kevin Harvick top 10 finish. Especially a Kevin Harvick top 10 finish. That's because if Kevin Happy Harvick, driver of the number 4 Chevrolet, places in the top 10 in today's race, there's free bloomin' onions this Monday. So you'll have a happy bloomin' Monday. Only at Outback Steakhouse. Valid with any purchase. One per table. Participation may vary. Registered trademarks used with permission.
From work life to nightlife, from home to the road, your day can take you anywhere. These fast-paced times call for Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans. Advanced Comfort is designed to keep up with you, no matter where you go or what you're doing. They're made with 20% stronger denim and 4-way flex technology that moves with you. Wrangler Advanced Comfort. Go anywhere, look great, and be comfortable. Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans. Try on a pair today.
Live sports are the one true reality entertainment, where a single dramatic moment can become timeless. In NASCAR, Motor Racing Network's live broadcast elevates your senses to the sights, sounds, and struggles taking place on the racetrack.
Keselowski to the bottom of the racetrack. He tries to slide up. Newman is there. Sideways is Keselowski.
The power of radio to the imagination of the listener. Tune in to the Motor Racing Network. Visit MRN.com for an affiliate list in your local area.
Hi, I'm Jeff Burton. Now back to Joey Meyer and Woody Kane on Motorsports Monday.
There you go.
Just
Jeff
like
Burton.
Yeah.
Back here on Motorsports Monday. Folks, as we mentioned, the chase is going to get underway this weekend at Chicagoland Speedway, but that means it's a long way to go, shorter than it was, but a long way to go when you consider miles to Miami. This is the number of miles on the track at the various tracks in the chase it takes to get to Homestead Miami Speedway. You see there Kyle Busch, the top seed, Brad Keselowski right behind him. As we mentioned, Joey, that's distinguished, or the tiebreaker is second place finishes, third place finishes, and on back.
Yeah, it's interesting to look at that list and realize that one of those guys will be your champion for 2016 after we run Homestead, and that's pretty cool. It's one of the few series, it's actually only a series where we have a playoff system that still allows every other team. There's only 16 drivers on that list. That means there's 24 drivers and teams that still get to participate during the actual event. Now, as we move on in other sports, once the playoff starts, the guys that didn't make it, they sit at home and watch.
Right.
But during this event, these cars will be identified with yellow spoilers and yellow window banners across the top and yellow roof numbers to identify them for the fans. But you have all 40 cars participating at the same time. The reason that's important is there might be some feathers that were ruffled during the season with a chase guy versus a non-chase guy, and we're going to see later on down the road if that plays out.
You think feathers were ruffled along the way?
No.
I think
everybody's
you're probably
happy.
Right. Okay, we've already heard from Kyle Busch after he became the top seed following the race at Richmond. Denny Hamlin won the race. We heard from him. He's the third seed. But what about Brad Keselowski? Here you go, Joey. The 2 car is the second seed going into the chase, looking for his second championship. Here's what Brad had to say.
Brad, top 5 finish tonight, but the big picture is there's a championship on the line as you go for number 2. Assess how the race went for you tonight and your final 10 to get ready to go for another championship.
Yeah, it was a kind of up and down night for us. I thought we had a really good effort from the team side. I made too many mistakes, and I got in a 20 car there and missed a shift, and guys behind me nowhere to go, got in me, and I got in the 20, and that was kind of a disaster of my own making, but. Other than that, I thought the team did a great job, put us in position. We needed just a little bit more speed to probably run with the 11 and the 78, but other than that, I thought we were right there with everyone else. So, just kind of up and down night, solid team effort to come home fourth, and looking forward to the next 10 weeks.
And that kind of gives you a preview of what we can expect in the chase. Up and down, because you will have some obstacles to overcome. You will have some times when you shine, but keep moving forward, overcome it.
We have 10 races left, 9 until we race for a championship. But we even break it down further. We have 3 rounds of 3 races apiece. You can't afford, we heard Brad talk about, he made too many mistakes. You can't afford to make a mistake with 16 drivers trying to move on to the second round. 4 drivers get moved out. You can't afford to have a mistake made.
Yeah.
Your execution has to be good. Your performance was acceptable. So the driver has to go back. The crew chief has to look back. The pit crew guys, they all have to go back and go, okay, whoever's making the mistakes, let's stop making the mistakes and move on. Brad was one of the teams that we came down and took our last set of tires and was able to charge back to the front. Got as high as second or I believe third, and then Kyle Larson, who had taken tires as well on a previous subsequent caution that we stayed out, he was able to drive around and get back to second. And those tires were amazing. But Brad and the guys have the performance. We've seen throughout the year. We've got 4 wins, tied for the most with Kyle Busch. Not quite as many second places, so he's got the top seed. We get to park next to each other in the garage and move on to Chicago. We have some really good racing coming up in the first 2 rounds. But you can't look past these first 3 rounds. You can't look past the next race because that one race can be so detrimental to you that the only way to move on is by winning. And you don't want to put yourself early in that position.
Yeah, there's certainly not much to be said for good points days during the regular season, and certainly not now where winning is everything and you have a 3-race round before you advance. So we're going to be hearing a little bit later on from Mike Wheeler, who's Denny Hamlin's crew chief, after their victory on Saturday night at Richmond. But you mentioned something I wanted to go back to there about mistakes and not being able to afford mistakes. Who are some of the guys who are going to be, I guess, the ones that we think maybe could afford an early mistake with time to make it up, and some of the guys who might not be in such a position might have to struggle a little harder to overcome an early mistake?
Right away, Chris Buescher's comes to mind simply because his team is maybe not the best performing team. They're not a top echelon team. It's not a secret. I'm not making fun or degrading them guys. They got in the chase by doing a strategy with enough performance at Pocono to come home with a win. So now they're looking at these next races, next group of races, as where can we perform equally to these other teams? Ding, ding, ding. The question to the answer to the question is Talladega. Everybody shows up to Talladega equal, man. You don't care. We've seen David Reagan run 3-year-old cars sitting up front winning these races over at front row. These cars are now built by Jack Roush and Roush Racing. He's going to have a really good car when they go to Talladega. That's not the first round.
Right.
We need to points race and be competitively points race with no mistakes, no accidents, no mechanicals to just get by this first round.
You need to be better than 4 guys in this first round.
Exactly right. So you just need to go out and execute. We don't need to win. Those are the guys that just need to points race. The guys that can afford a mistake are the Kyle Busches, the Brad Keselowskis, the Denny Hamlins, because if they make the one mistake in the first round, then you possibly think they can go out and win a race and automatically advance. So you have 2 different mentalities going forward.
Half this Chase field has multiple wins this season, so I think you could put them in the category of if something happens, they might be most likely to be able to overcome it. I mean, you look at the 18 team with Kyle Busch, the 2 team, you guys both with 4 wins. Denny Hamlin has 3. Kevin Harvick has a couple. Edwards has a couple. There's a lot of guys who can overcome a mistake, I think,
and
early
you
on.
Don't have to win to get to Homestead. Ryan Newman proved that.
Yep.
Okay, he was a place away. He finished second in Homestead from becoming a champion and hadn't won a race all year long. So drivers and crews look at that competition at that level to see he was able to do it. Let's not make any mistakes in our performance. If we just finish second for the rest of the year, we can end up in Homestead racing for a championship. Kyle Busch prefaced it by saying, I was the last guy to get moved on in every round.
He was right at the cutoff point.
Not until Homestead did his team elevate to a level. They went out and won the race. Boom, they're champions.
Yep, that's how you can do it for sure. All right, we've heard from the top 5 guys, or the top 4 guys anyway. Let's hear from Kevin Harvick, who's the 4th seed heading into the chase.
Obviously, nothing's ever easy in NASCAR Sprint Cup Series racing, but does it make it a little more encouraging knowing that you guys are fast every time you unload?
Yeah, and, you know, I feel like we're fast every time for the most part, when we unload, but we're also, you know, we can overcome a lot of things, and we've overcome a lot this weekend with the cars that we've had and done the things that we've done, and to be able to get a top 5 out of that just kind of shows the character of the team. And we can rebound from things and controversy and whatever it may be, and everybody takes a deep breath and remembers that we've done all this before and go out and perform like we did tonight.
21 top 10 finishes in 26 races. That's how you consistent your way into these later rounds.
The one thing that sits in the back of my mind, and he even acknowledges it, we're able to overcome a lot.
Yeah.
Well, how does he know that? Because they've had to overcome a lot. They've made a lot of errors in different locations, whether it's speeding on pit road or their pit crews, which has been adjusted by the teams this year. You simply, even though your team can afford, eventually you just get too far behind that you run out of time.
Yeah.
You can put new tires on with 5 to go, but if it's only a 2-lap race, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter. You might be the best team, the best performing, the fastest car on the team numerous times. The old Outback Chevrolet has been really fast. We've commented on how many free bloomin' onions we've had all year. But the wins,
a lot.
the wins have only been a couple because of the execution. And to quote a good coach from year, what do you think about your team's execution? I'm all for it. That's exactly how Kevin. Said it last week. He was all for executing his team. But now we have to move forward with better execution. Yes, they can overcome things. They don't want to have to. It's a whole lot easier to win by leading every lap.
All right. Carl Edwards comes in as the 5th seed in the chase. Let's hear what he had to say following the event at Richmond.
Just your thoughts overall on what you expect for the chase with the way your team has performed this year.
We expect to do really well. We got great Toyotas. You know, the TRD engines are great. All my teammates are going to be fast. I mean, they're going to be, I believe we're going to be tough to beat. This format is tough. You know, you never really know what's going to happen.
How important is it Chicagoland to get really off to a good start? Whether a win obviously makes it really easy, but momentum, speed, carrying all of that. How important is Chicago next week?
Not just because anything can happen at any of these races. You know, you don't want to leave anything on the table. So we need to run well at Chicago. New Hampshire can be a really tough race. It's easy to get caught up in things, a lot like Richmond. So, and then Dover, obviously. I mean, that place is insane. So yeah, just it'd be nice to just win Chicago and get to play around for a couple weeks.
There you go, Carl Edwards. We've heard from the top 5 seeds. It's time now for a break here on Motorsports Monday. On the other side, we'll chat with Denny Hamlin's crew chief, Mike Wheeler. Stick around.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
Hi, this is John, the pace car driver. Safety is very important to me and my family, so I keep informed about recalls. There are drivers out there that don't know that their very own car could be under a recall, and that's dangerous. So to protect you and your family, go to safercar.gov/check for recalls and enter your vehicle identification number. And if it is, call your local dealership. They'll fix it for free. To learn about other Drive for Safety messages, visit safercar.gov. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, check out Slingin' Dirt with David and Ashley Strim. They talk with dirt late model, dirt modified, and UMP modified drivers from all over America. Join David and Ashley on MRN.com, the MRN app, and YouTube as they give you the news, results, and their opinions of dirt track racing. Plus interviews with the biggest race winners and newsmakers from New York to California and all dirt tracks in between. Slingin' Dirt Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, the MRN app, and MRN.com. The grill is hot and the cooler is cold at America's Tailgate Party, NASCAR USA. Join us each weekend as your host and head chef Rob Tanner serves up the hottest hits and country music, and Steve Post drops by with NASCAR news straight from the sport's top garages and shops. We have 2 hours of country music at the speed of sound, getting you ready for NASCAR racing. Rev up your weekend at America's Tailgate Party, NASCAR USA.
Hey, I'm Austin Dillon. Now back to Joey Meyer and Woody Kane on Motorsports Monday.
White flag. It is the Credit One Bank, 1 to go. Denny Hamlin will lead the field back to turn number 1. Truex goes second, then Brad, then Kyle Larson.
Kyle Larson around the outside, trying to steal the 3rd spot, trying to steal the 2nd spot. Truex shuts him down, but at the front, it's all over now, I believe. Here comes Denny Hamlin headed for victory lane.
I believe so, Dave. He won at Daytona. He won at Watkins Glen. This will probably trump both of those. He wins at home. Denny Hamlin scores the victory at Richmond in the Federated Auto Parts 400.
Jeff Striegel, Dave Moody, and Joe Moore with the call on the Motor Racing Network from Saturday night at Richmond, where Virginia native Denny Hamlin goes to victory lane again. And joining us on the guest line now is his crew chief, Mike Wheeler. First, congratulations, man. You guys had a very, very fast FedEx Ground Toyota, won the pole, and then paid it off with the victory. How'd you do it?
Oh, yeah. Like you said, we had a really good car all weekend. Car was fast. Pit crew did a great job on pit road, and we were able to put it together.
It was a pretty gutsy call there at the end with no tires. Were you 100% confident, or did you have some skepticism there as the laps wound down?
Oh, yeah. No, I had low confidence. Truthfully, it's one of those situations where there was so many cars in the lead lap and such a, I don't say lose situation, but, it could go either way that, it was out of our hands. I knew with 3 to go, we were in good shape, with such a lead, but I knew not to count my chickens because anything can happen, and it did. So at that point, just kind of made the best decision you can on the information you have. And with so many cars in the lead lap and a lot of guys out of tires, I knew some guys were going to stay out with us. And I figured our best bet was to try to restart up front than trying to restart outside the top 10 and have to make our way through traffic.
Mike, during the evening with those tires the way they are, and we go to these racetracks where the tires really matter on speed, you rely back on the years and years of experience you have being a Cup crew chief. But in your instance, you don't have that experience. So how do you make those decisions?
Well, I would say for years I've been kind of watching. Been an engineer on the team for, since 05. And, obviously the first couple of years didn't quite know what was going on as far as strategy and all that kind of stuff. But, looking back for all the years, you always kind of lived it still. And for the last, 4 or 5 years, I've been wanting to be crew chief. That I've been making sure I'd help with those last-minute calls, give input. So I kind of am prepping for that. End of the day, still, we have a team. I look around to my guys and get them to do the same thing for me. So I don't say we have votes, but quick decisions are sometimes made, but you have data, you have information, you see things, and then you just try to put it together for a last-minute call, and hopefully it works out.
Chatting with Mike Wheeler, the crew chief for Denny Hamlin on the number 11 FedEx Ground Toyota. Mike, we came into the weekend and everybody had been saying, oh, well, they should bring back the sealer or they should put some goop down like they did at Bristol to try and make things better. But Joey and I were talking before you came on. It looked like guys could go almost wherever they wanted to all night long, and particularly as the night went on. What did you think?
Yeah, I think Richmond's a pretty good track. I think it's one of those tracks that if you're stuck in fifth and you get your car tuned up, at some point in the race, you can go out there and pass for the lead. I think you saw that early on with Truex. He started, not in the top 3 or 4, but ended up getting the lead pretty early and walking away from the field. Equally, tire falls off, so if you get off sequence and strategy like Kyle Larson did, he restarted like 12th or 14th on one restart and got back to the top 5 within like 5 laps. So I think Richmond's a great place to actually, race and be competitive and have a good show for everybody because you can pass there both top and bottom.
Chase is consisting of 10 races. We want to all go to Homestead, but only 4 of us get to go. We have three-round segments of 3 races. How far ahead do you look right now? I know Chicago's coming up. You've looked at that. How far ahead have you guys actually prepared for?
We basically almost have our car schedule set up for the entire chase. I think we're missing the last few races, but honestly, we got setup sheets already kind of started and done for everything out from Charlotte and Kansas. And truthfully, our Talladega car is already picked out as well. You take each week by itself. We have some focus going on this week for Charlotte and Kansas, but we're making sure come Wednesday night, Thursday morning, we are done and fully prepped for Chicago. Equally, after last night, or I guess Saturday night, we're adding some notes for Loudon because it is a short track, a similar deal. Obviously not the exact same track, but a lot of things do transfer over. So you're always constantly evaluating how to be better and what to work on next. But we're pretty far out in the chase as far as races go.
An interesting thing about this NASCAR racing family is we always talk about it being a family, but you have a very unique relationship with your spotter. He's actually introduced you to his wife. Tell us that story.
I've been in the garage area so long and in racing that I was always the single guy growing up. I went to a nerdy engineering school and didn't meet any girls there. So needless to say, years went by in the garage area being single and started asking around about this one girl I met, and she seemed nice and I remember my spotter, Chris Lambert. I'm like, hey, you worked with her. Is she sane? You know, 'cause, you know, you meet some girls and you know how it goes. It's you see part of it and you don't see the whole story. But you know, he vouched for her and said, no, Amy's a great girl. You'll really like her. And you know, I took his word for it, and fortunately things worked out for us.
Man, that's storybook right there. Hey, Mike, we know you got a meeting to run to, but let's get you out the door on this. When you come into the chase, we were talking earlier about guys who can maybe overcome some mistakes and some guys who really can't afford any at all. What's the overriding thought you have strategy-wise going into this chase in terms of how to compete in it?
Yeah, I would say one thing we can't do ourselves. We just can't beat ourselves. You know, in the first round, if you just perform well, you don't even have to win races. You just perform well and get some top 15s and top 10s, you'll make it into the next round. It becomes more difficult when you get to, you know, Charlotte, Kansas, and Talladega, where you almost need some luck at Talladega. But, you know, the first round, you survive. You don't have any loose wheels. You don't have any bad pit stops. You don't have any flat tires or crashes. Your average performance will take care of itself. Hopefully, once you get through that round, you go to Charlotte and Kansas, maybe you can pick up a win or a couple top fives where you can go to Talladega and just survive and be okay. But that's probably the wild card there. After that, you need to make sure you perform at Martinsville, Texas, and Phoenix. It'd be great to win Martinsville. This way you can kind of have a breath of fresh air for the next two races because obviously Phoenix is a big stressor. Trying to make sure you make the final cut. But ultimately, you're trying to focus on doing the best we can with what we got and not beat ourselves.
That's fantastic. And you guys have really put up some big numbers this season. It's going to be an exciting chase with 16 teams in it. Can't wait to get it started at Chicagoland this weekend. Mike Wheeler, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
There you go. And they really have. And I think that's exactly what we were discussing earlier. Some of these teams, like the Joe Gibbs teams, your team, you look at Kevin Harvick's team, as Kevin mentioned himself, they can afford to overcome some things. As Mike just said, you just want to compete well in that first round if you're one of those teams and not have anything crazy happen to derail you.
Yeah, weekend sweep for Mike Wheeler and his guys. Sat on the pole, led just about half the race, and ended up in victory lane. But one of the things Denny Hamlin is notorious for in 2016 is his mistakes on pit road. Notoriously gets caught. Chris Lambert and I are actually friends. We stand next to each other. We're always making the little moniker of shooting ourselves in the foot, which I did this weekend when we were caught speeding.
Yeah.
But we're always doing it with Denny as well because he has an issue on pit road. And it's not that we want to speed or the drivers want to speed, but you're simply trying to grasp at that last 1 RPM, that last tenth of a mile an hour, because guys are beating you by a tenth of a mile an hour, and you don't want to give that up.
And if you get off pit road ahead of a guy, then you get your pick of lane choice, and that can make all the difference.
Yeah, if you can pass somebody going pit road speed, it's way easier than doing 190.
Yeah, the odds become a little lower.
Exactly
then.
right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we can pass on the track and without speeding. Okay,
you can.
But it's a very easy something to do on pit road, and that's what these guys they're trained to do. Staring at that tachometer, listening to their spotters about 2 red lights or whatever RPM number. So those guys need to keep their mistakes down as well. But kudos to Mike Wheeler and the boys back at the shop at Joe Gibbs Racing. They put on a heck of a show at their home track at Richmond.
They've had it going on all year long, no question about that. I mean, they've been among the most dominant teams since the beginning of the season at Daytona.
And he has the yellow stripe on his butt in his team. He's the rookie on the team. He hasn't even –
Yeah, but he's been, as he mentioned, he's been around that team for a while. He's been the head engineer. And in the past, when suspensions or illness or whatever would come up, he would be the guy that would fill in atop the pit box.
Yeah, he has one complete year over in the Xfinity Series, but a number of years behind the engineer. But there's still a little bit of a transition to being the engineer, the smart guy with the calculator, being the guy that's stay out.
It's on you then.
That's it. Stay out. I think your tires are well enough. And he clearly said, I was nervous.
Yeah. Well, Denny said the same thing. He said, I wouldn't have believed that we could pull this off, but we did. But he did. Back to the pit road thing that you mentioned and mistakes you can't afford that Mike was talking about there. Keep in mind that many of the tracks here at the last half of the season, those timing lines have been doubled. It came after we saw the Martin Truex thing. I forget what track it was where he ran up hard and got inside of somebody and passed him on pit road and got penalized. They've added added more of these scoring lines on pit road. So if you're speeding, you're almost for sure going to get busted, not get away with it.
Yeah, you used to be able to make small adjustments as you went down pit road, and the gap, the longer the timing line, the longer time was allowed to accept that adjustment. Now the lines are so consecutively that you can't make any mistakes going 100 RPMs over or 50 RPMs over your normal speed, because that gap is much smaller and the error is a greater chance of doing it.
All right. Speaking of Martin Truex Jr., who made that move that caused them to add those extra scoring lines, he's doing very well this season, has been among the fastest cars all year. He will be the 6th seed heading into the chase. Here's what he had to say after Richmond.
Yeah, it was a good night for us. We've struggled a bit at this racetrack the last few times, so to do what we did tonight, lead the most laps, and really feel like we had the best car on the long runs for sure. Just the short runs were off a little, and really the race strategy didn't work out the way we needed it to. But all in all, it was a great night for us. The guys did a great job, and really proud of the race car we brought here and the job we did with it tonight. Just didn't get the circumstances we needed, but proud of this effort. Win last week, second tonight or third tonight, and led the most laps. So all in all, it's a good day.
10 races to go, 1 championship on the balance out there, and a wave of momentum. Assess your chances.
They're as good as anybody's right now. I mean, I don't think anybody's got a leg up on us, that's for sure. We've got fast cars, we've got smart people, and calling the race, setting the cars up, and cars have been fast all year long. We've shown that, so we got to do our job and be consistent. We've done that the last couple of weeks, and hopefully we can keep it up.
They sure have. They've been very, very fast. There's been several races this year that they didn't win, but were clearly the fastest car and led the most laps a couple of times and didn't win. So they're going to be right in the thick of it, barring something ridiculous.
Again, execution, no mistakes, and speed will help you
Yeah. You
through
think?
every race. Yes, and right now they have most of the items put together. Again, Kyle Larson, we're going to hear from him just a little bit, but it's all about the team unity, the aspect of everybody just do their job. No one single person has to put the cape on and expose their S on their chest. Nobody has to carry the team. It's a team effort, and right now Martin Truex is at the top of his game.
Interesting that you put it that way. I heard Austin Dillon mention it almost precisely like that on Friday. He said he is a big football fan and has talked to a lot of different coaches along the way, just to, different competitors in different sports talk to others to try and see if there's anything they can take away and use in their own venue. He said a pro coach told him at one point, when you're competing at that level, it's important, like you said, to not try and do more than you're capable of or than you're supposed to do. Just everybody do their jobs. It sounds simple, but if all the parts are working together in unison, you have a better chance than if this one part is pushing really hard and kind of messing things up down the line.
Yeah, it's important to look in the mirror as a competitor, whether you're a pit crew, the driver, whoever it is, to look in the mirror and go, we're at the elite level of this competition, and we're in the Sprint Cup Series. We're not here because of random fate. We won the lottery, or somebody just threw us a headset and a steering wheel or a helmet and said, go put this on and see if you can do it. We're already pretty good at what we do. All we have to do is be pretty good at what we do. We don't have to carry anybody. We can take the cape off, dress like Clark Kent where nobody sees us, and just go out on Sundays, and eventually that's going to put you in victory lane.
All right. One of the guys who didn't have the best of nights at Richmond but did have a good overall season was Matt Kenseth. Here's what he thought after Richmond.
When you look at the chase and we look at your team's performance, what things have you most excited about it overall, just as you look at the 10 races and where you guys are at with your performance?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the most thing to be excited about is the speed of our cars and how good my teammates are running. We know we have the equipment to go out there and win races and race for a championship. So that's probably the part I feel the best about. It's just the rest of the stuff. We just, we got some little things here or there we probably need to clean up and do better and execute better and get the finishes. So you got to, no matter how good you run, we ran great tonight, but we finished 38. So, I mean, we got to be able to have it all and get the finishes.
There you go, Matt Kenseth, and that is the main thing with all those JGR cars. How many times this year have we talked about those Gibbs cars have it going on?
Well, they have 4 strong cars located right here in North Carolina, 1 really strong car located in Denver. They're a 5 juggernaut team, so we expect good things from them. But the one team that I still believe, after reeling off 5 wins or championships in a row, 6 total, is Jimmy Johnson, and here's what he had to say after Richmond.
How do you feel this race team is right now as the chase is about to begin?
We're getting stronger. We're not as strong as we want to be. We want to be leading laps and winning races going into the chase, but the format is so different these days. We've seen guys end up in the Final Four at Homestead, various routes. We just got to make sure we're one of them. And in 10 weeks, I do feel like with the progress we've made in 3 or 4 weeks, in 10 more weeks, we can certainly be a threat for the championship. So we've got to stay very focused and keep up the good work. There's been a lot of great work going on at Hendrick Motorsports and inside this Lowe's race team, and we can't rest yet. It's still going to be a 10-week grind for us to get there.
This weekend I was talking with somebody about that very thing who said it's not enough to be good. You also have to have some breaks. And that's true. That's not to take anything away from their performance, but you have to have some breaks. It seems like this year they haven't had as many breaks as you need to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of golden horseshoes that are stuck people's places that we've talked about in the past, that some people ride around the season with a golden horseshoe firmly on their self. And what we've seen now is what Jimmy can't be. He can't be too patient in trying to get performance. They don't have 10 weeks to get better.
Yeah.
They can get better during the next 10 weeks, but they need 3 weeks in the next races. We have Chicago, Loudon, Dover, all very fast, very competitive, very tracks that the teams that are good show. They rise to the top. The creams is going to rise, and they can't wait to get better. They need to keep getting better, and I still believe, I've said it before, I believe him and Chad can still win 8 championships as long as they stay together.
I think you're right as well, but here's something that shocked me. He does have the 2 victories on the season, but in 26 races in the regular season, only 10 top 10 finishes. That shocked me.
Yeah, they're definitely, I mean, Chase Elliott's been carrying Hendrick Motorsports this year, even in his rookie year. Their performance has been a lot flatlined, Chase. His performance needs to be a little better overall, but that line has been relatively flat. Yeah. Jimmy's has been like this. They're either really good or non-existent during a race.
That's been unusual. That's not what we've seen from them in the past. All right, another break here coming up on Motorsports Monday. We've still got on-track, off-track to go, and we've still got 8 more drivers to hear from as we get set for the chase to open up at Chicagoland Speedway this weekend.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
In the Outback, we think the best part about racing is the noise, the engine, the pits, and a Kevin Harvick top 10 finish. Especially a Kevin Harvick top 10 finish. That's because if Kevin Happy Harvick, driver of the number 4 Chevrolet, places in the top 10 in today's race, there's free bloomin' onions this Monday. So you'll have a happy bloomin' Monday. Only at Outback Steakhouse. Valid with any purchase. 1 per table. Participation may vary. Registered trademarks used with permission.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there. Whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice, Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, right on our strength.
Motor Racing Network has a way for you to reach out and express your thoughts and opinions on NASCAR. It's the MRN Fan Forum Hotline.
Just wondering what's the first thing you tend to think
curious about those new rules from what I heard.
Call in 844-4-ASK-MRN. Got a question or comment for a driver or MRN personality? 844-4-ASK-MRN.
You guys keep it on. Listen to you guys next
It's
weekend.
the Fan Forum Hotline, your connection to the sport of NASCAR.
Hey, I'm Jeff Gordon. Now back to Joey Meyer and Woody Kane on Motorsports Monday.
I thought that guy retired.
He did. It's a heck of a retirement tour. He just shows up when he wants to, puts on some other guy. It's like a Halloween contest for him all the time. He just puts on Dale Jr.'s uniform and goes
out and has some fun.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Okay, let's talk on track, off track. For those of you new to the program, this is where we talk about some things that are going well in the sport and some things that aren't going quite so well. Joey, let's start with you. What's going well?
All right, look. We've been dealing with NASCAR racing for 50 or 60-plus years. We have the old school mentality, new school mentality. The bottom line is for 2016, we have a chase system. It encompasses 16 drivers, 4 different rounds, 3 rounds of 3 races apiece. 4 drivers are going to show up in Homestead. One of those drivers, if he just wins the race, wins the championship. That's what we're dealing with in 2016. It gets pretty exciting knowing that we have Jimmy Johnson's potential of going to Chicago. He's a 6-time champion. We have Chris Buescher, who's going to go to Chicago with 1 race. They both have equal opportunities with a system designed around these teams to come out of Homestead as a champion. It's a pretty cool deal. I don't want to get wrapped up in points racing and Jeff Gordon and Darrell Waltrip and Curtis Turners and all the other arguments. For 2016, we know right now 16 drivers, one of those drivers will leave Homestead as a champion, and that gives me goosebumps. I enjoy the veracity Come on. There you go. There you go. I enjoy the intensity.
You almost snuck one by.
Yeah, exactly. I enjoy the intensity of the next 10 races because for those 16 drivers, no mistakes can be made or else you get ramped up on the edge of more intensity, and you don't want to see that. You just want to go through your deal, show up at Homestead, be one of those 4 drivers, and then you could be nervous.
Yes, you really can, because that is certainly the time to do it when you get there. And I agree. This is what the sport was looking for when Brian France, I remember him saying, we need Game 7 moments, meaning the last game of the World Series where it's all on the line. And you're certainly getting those bigger moments rather than a long consistency-based performance. When you have those moments, those defining moments like we've seen in the chase up to now, even before they went to the rounds of elimination, it's exactly what the sport has been looking for. And that's what my on-track is about. It's the chase, but times 3, because we're also going to have a chase in the Xfinity Series and in the Camping World Truck Series. Those will be decided this weekend. The fields for them will be set at Chicagoland Speedway. On Friday night, Motor Racing Network will have the American Ethanol E15 225 beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern. Saturday night, the Drive for Safety 300 in the Xfinity Series at 2:30 Saturday afternoon. These guys, for the first time, they've been watching all this time what the Cup guys are doing. Now they're going to have it for themselves. In the Xfinity Series, 12 drivers will make the chase grid. In the Camping World Truck Series, 8 drivers will make the chase grid. It's going to be fun to watch these guys go through it for the first time after having watched what the Cup guys have done up to this point. The elimination numbers, the math is a little bit different, but we're going to wind up at the same place. At Homestead, we're going to have 4-4-4 in NASCAR's Top 3 National Touring Series racing for a championship.
Yeah, and those drivers in every series can only hope that the guy they may mad during the year is still in the chase.
Or guys.
Yeah, yes, guys, that they're still in the chase the whole time, because if you're still in the chase and you're mad at somebody, you don't have time to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have time to be Cole Custer racing for a championship, being mad at Nemechek racing for a championship. You're racing for a championship. You can't be mad, Tony Stewart. You can only hope that Ryan Newman doesn't get mad and then hold a grudge, because you're racing for a championship. So those are the things that we look forward to the next 10 weeks, and then after Chicago, the weeks after that for the Xfinity and Truck Series.
All right, so it happens rarely, but we're in agreement here. Chase for on-track. What about off? What's not going quite so well?
All right, so off-track, we saw an incident this weekend, as we've seen in the past. The art of the payback has been lost. Years ago, I recall a race that I was standing on the roof for. Dale Earnhardt come off of turn 3. He was leading the race. Jeremy Mayfield got into the back of him, moved him out of the way. Jeremy Mayfield crosses the victory line, and Dale Earnhardt gets all mad and runs up to him. And what does he do? Gives him a thumbs up.
Mm-hmm.
He loved that kind of racing. Nowadays, if that exact same thing happens, I bump you, the next guy car bombs your car back. It's a complete difference mentality. Nobody wants to race. Just like we heard this weekend, Tony Stewart clearly admitted that he wrecked Ryan Newman. Why did he wreck Ryan Newman? Well, he bumped me 3 times.
And I wasn't going to take it.
Right, I'm not going to take it. Well, why'd you have to wreck him? And not only that, why'd you have to wreck 3 or 4 other cars and ruin their entire night?
Yeah.
What happened to, and what I miss the most, is the bumping and the payback and the retaliation of equal level. If I bump you out of the groove and I get you out of the place, then I expect you to do the same thing for me.
Right, now we're going nuclear.
I don't expect you to take a forklift and drive through the car and flip it over the wall and ruin my night. I want to be raced aggressively. Brad likes to be raced aggressively. He doesn't mind guys getting into him as long as he gets to pay back. But the art of retaliation or /payback is gone. It's disappeared. Now, I agree that every spot might be in these chases a little more important, and we've talked about how the races have a more importance than they did years ago. But we can still rub. We can still race. Not every time do we get into somebody is a anger management class. It's simply racing. Sometimes we slide up the track, and that's what occurs. That's okay. If the next time it happens and you simply slide up the track, we're going to accept it.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be dumped and destroy my car and 5 other cars and go, why'd you wreck him? Hey, he bumped me.
Right. Yeah.
He bumped me
3 weeks ago or whatever.
I gave him 2 more opportunities than I normally would have before I wrecked somebody.
Yeah.
What happened to just bumping is racing? It's the clearest. It's the greatest line. We at least once a year we hear Rubbin's racing, and it was one of the greatest movie lines we heard from Days of Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't make that line up.
Yeah.
Okay, that line was created because NASCAR used to be Rubbin's racing.
The movie borrowed the line, not the other way around.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
We used to be able to do that. I wish we could return to it.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and it's something we saw play out last year in the spat between Matt Kenseth and Joey Logano that turned ugly and forced NASCAR to step in at the end of the year. It's something that has gotten a little bit out of hand in some respects, and we'll see what happens. Now, that leads to my off-track, which is penalties. We saw Martin Truex Jr. fail the post-race laser inspection. You guys had that happen a couple of weeks ago as well. They don't have a situation now where, A, they release exactly what it was right away. We find out a little bit later. We've also heard a lot of talk about guys who are doing these post-race burnouts, and the car comes in practically shredded, and then you have a situation where some teams are going, oh, wait a minute, are they trying to hide something? We've seen situations where, and it's talked about openly in the garage, where guys are getting penalized, losing their pit stall selection or losing some practice time based on getting to tech late or not making it through tech a number of times, and openly saying, yeah, we're going to go ahead and get that penalty out of the way now so we don't have to worry about it during the chase, when it could really cost us, because at many of these tracks a pit selection is really, really critical, more so than some others, say like a Talladega, for example, that we mentioned a moment ago. But I think these penalty situations, and there's been some rumblings and some writings going on now, you can read about some of that at MRN.com right now, that NASCAR is considering getting a little more aggressive in terms of the post-race celebrations, in terms of how significant penalties are going to be and how that will impact the chase. I think right now the situation is a little bit I don't know. I don't want to say undefined, because there are clearly numbers and that type of things and violations set out in the rule book, but I think they're going to tighten that ship up a little bit as we get into the chase, and I think it's something that could come back to bite some or more than some drivers during this competition.
Unfortunately, the more rules you create, the more loopholes you invent. Okay? After the race at Richmond, Martin Truex in the 78 car failed a laser inspection. That's a number of inspections. It could be a number of things. It doesn't matter. At the end of the race, all the points were readjusted. It didn't even, that penalty, you won't even see the effects of it ever. It's like it never happened.
Right.
If I go to Homestead.
Well, how is that fair? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Exactly right. So if I go to Homestead and I win the race, I'm the champion, right? What happens if my car fails laser inspection post-race?
Exactly.
So that's where NASCAR has to understand and start a race and have clearly defined rules. The problem is, NASCAR is one entity. They're racing against 4 entities at Homestead because all of those crew chiefs are smarter and have more experience than the guys making the rules. There are departments that when rules are come out and established, they look at them and how can we get around them? Because if it's simply put, it's competition, guys. We're not trying to break rules. We're trying to win. But by winning, I might be better at bending a rule than you are.
Yep.
Pit road speed was very simple.
Or at least better at not getting caught at it.
Exactly right. Years ago, pit road speed was 35 miles an hour. Everybody ran 35 miles an hour until the first guy ran 36. And then NASCAR put a tolerance of, say, 4 miles an hour, and that's not exact, but it's close enough. Well, then everybody started going 38 miles an hour. Okay? And that's simply how, and that's the best explanation I can give you. We're not trying to break a rule. Michael Waltrip said it years ago. This racing would be a whole lot easier if these young kids would slow down. Okay, that's exactly how rules are. When one guy wants to bend or push a rule, it forces all the other teams to do the exact same. So NASCAR is one entity racing against 40 other entities trying to push and break and bend a rule that they're creating. And that's why the loopholes are found.
What's going to happen if we get to Homestead and somebody leaves off a couple of lug nuts there and that winds up determining a championship? Can you imagine after all that? All right, let's take a quick time out here, come back, and we'll finish up with some more drivers, their thoughts heading into the chase.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
From work life to nightlife, from home to the road, your day can take you anywhere. These fast-paced times call for Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans. Advanced Comfort is designed to keep up with you, no matter where you go or what you're doing. They're made with 20% stronger denim and 4-way flex technology that moves with you. Wrangler Advanced Comfort. Go anywhere, look great, and be comfortable. Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans. Try on a pair today.
In the Outback, we think the best part about racing is the noise, the engine, the pits, and a Kevin Harvick top 10 finish. Especially a Kevin Harvick top 10 finish. That's because if Kevin Happy Harvick, driver of the number 4 Chevrolet, places in the top 10 in today's race, there's free bloomin' onions this Monday. So you'll have a happy bloomin' Monday. Only at Outback Steakhouse. Valid with any purchase. One per table. Participation may vary. Registered trademarks used with permission.
The 2016 drag racing season is off and running, and MRN Straight Line is your weekly source for everything NHRA.
Hey, Erica, so you were in a Chevy for a long time, and now all of a sudden in a Dodge.
We've had to build an entire new engine program at our shop.
Join Marty Huff and Doug Herbert every Thursday at noon Eastern on MRN.com, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts and Hercules Tires. It's the Straight Line, only on the Motor Racing Network.
Hey, I'm Kevin Harvick. Now back to Joey Meyer and Woody Kane on Motorsports Monday.
Joey, first, tell us about your run tonight. How good was this race car, the ups and the downs?
The race didn't play out the way we needed to. We were slow for the first 10 to 15 laps of every run, and it seemed like we were getting a caution every time like that. So, you know, it is what it is. We fought hard. We ran out of tires like everybody else, and, you know, when you take them was, you know, obviously up for grabs and depending on what people were doing. So, overall, just a crazy night. Not the Richmond everyone expected, but and we fought for a top 10 out of it. 9th seed going into the chase. Assess how you feel your team is prepared for those last 10 races. I think we're in good shape. You know, it's you know, the chase is about pressure, and it's how you handle pressure. And I think my team can handle that plenty well, and you know, feel confident and you know, relax and have fun with it.
Handle the pressure. That's a big strategy, a big key in the chase as well. Here's a guy who swept the whole round of the chase and wasn't the champion.
Man, you talk about having the experience of running a previous chase and having an issue. What about our next guy? Kyle Larson gets his first victory, and he has immense pressure going into the chase for his first time, and here's what he said.
You actually used all your dirt track skills coming to the finish line there. Tell us about your night and your thoughts about this second-place run this evening.
Yeah, it was a fun race for sure. You know, it wasn't we were probably like a 7th to 10th place car there most of the race. You know, all the short runs are really helping me. I'm not good when it comes to long runs here, but the short run stuff is you know, good for me. So it was fun. Great day for our target team. Tons of momentum rolling to the chase. So hopefully we can keep it going.
You talk about momentum. You're number 11 seed coming in here, but speed in the race cars. How good do you feel about the speed you guys have in the race cars at this point?
It's good, especially on the mile and a halfs. You know, the intermediate tracks is you know, where chip gas racing excels right now, and that's, you know, my favorite types of tracks too. So there's a lot of those in the chase, which is good. You know, just like I said, hopefully we can keep this momentum rolling and keep these, you know, good finishes going.
There you go, a guy in his first chase coming up this season and with an open-wheel background. Another guy with an open-wheel background but has been through many chases, a 3-time champion, Tony Stewart, in his final season.
You know, we tried a different approach for this race, and you know, that's what I like about Mike is he's willing to think outside the box, but we just could not get it going. We fought getting the car to turn in the spring race here, and so we came with a whole different package trying to make it loose and make it turn, and we never did get it nice. I mean, we got up toward the, I guess, in the top 12 there, but we really weren't that good. So
you've won 3 of these things. The only driver to ever win a Winston Cup championship, a Nextel Cup championship, and a Sprint Cup championship. Now in your final season, you got a chance for number 4. Your thoughts going into these last 10 races?
Well, my thoughts in 11 were that we didn't belong in it, and we went out and won 5 of 10. So obviously my thoughts really don't matter. I mean, the moral of the story is we got to get ready. We got, you know, 5 days to get ready to go to Chicago, and you know, we'll get ready for there, and we'll you know, we'll start on Friday and do the best we can and take it 1 week at a time and see where we're at.
You know, strength is in numbers, and we hear Tony Stewart's a 3-time champion, but they're the only race team that every one of their cars that are in the chase are previous champions, and our last one is Kurt Busch.
We were able to complete all the laps up until Bristol, and that was the 24th race of the year, and that consistency and that strength of finishing on the lead lap is what the 41 team is about. Great, you know, teamwork, and it leads to the quality cars and the way it's prepared and the way that it's set up. And we got to thank Hendrick Engines and Chassis for that reliability, and Tony Gibson and the way that he leads this group of guys. Real happy to race with him, and so we just got to capitalize at the end of the races. Our weakness, you got to gain spots on restarts. You can't lose spots, and being able to hold our own and be aggressive at the end to gain spots. You know, I thought we had a 5th place car tonight, and we finished 8th. So those 3 points, you don't have to. You try not to worry about them too much. But all in all, real proud of Haas Automation, Monster Energy, and a great regular season we've had on the 41 car. We're ready for the chase, and we got a good 10 weeks ahead of us.
Restarts will certainly be a key in the chase as well. And from a couple of champions, we go to another guy who's making his first appearance in the chase, rookie Chris Buescher.
Was there ever a doubt in your mind?
From the beginning of the weekend, I knew we could get here with Front Row Motorsports, and the amount of effort and resources that Bob Jenkins has put into this program, it's really impressive to be that small team, to be that underdog trying to work our way through this, and it's pretty big to be here at the moment. So there was a couple of times throughout the race where different scenarios played their way out, and that was not exciting from inside. The damage when we got into 39 when he was wrecking, and the team got it fixed really quickly on pit road. Really proud of them. They got a plan while they were sitting under red flag, and they executed extremely quickly. Got us back out there before we went green, and didn't even lose a lap. So just eventful night. We'll go right into the next one. It's exciting.
Yeah, we've also never seen two rookies in the chase with a potential chance of being a championship, and here's Chase Elliott's thoughts.
Going into it, how are you feeling, and how much will you lean on your teammate?
Oh, well, I think we got to. I mean, I'm excited about it. First off, I'm very happy we've had the year we've had to have the opportunity to get in. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into these cars, and to battle through everything we battled through tonight. I was getting nervous. The 5 was on tires, and he said, "Man, he might go win this thing." And then we were out, and it was just it got stressful there at one point. So just recognizing that that could be the case every 3 weeks, and hoping that we can try to get ourselves through these rounds and down to Homestead. And I think we have to have that mentality. If we don't, then we should have let whoever was behind us in, is the way I see it.
Stress and pressure are certainly continuing themes. Another guy who's making his first chase appearance is the 15th seed, Austin Dillon.
Austin, when you look, let's talk a little bit about tonight's race. Pretty solid effort throughout most of tonight's race. Just kind of assess the way you were with things as far as here tonight at Richmond.
Best Richmond car I've had here since my career started, and I've worked hard to get better here. So had a good run. That made it a lot less stressful, but there was not any lack of stress either, the way that things played out. I mean, geez, good Lord looked after us, put us in a good position. We just did our job. We wanted to race hard, and our strategy was to stay on the one strategy. It worked out. So the pressure's been on. There's been some sleepless nights leading up to this. I'm going to have fun in the chase. I want to do one thing and just go after wins, upset these guys. So Chicago's a good track for me. I'm not going to put pressure on myself. I'm going to go have fun.
One of the best drivers to never win a championship, has always had big gains and big races, was Jamie McMurray with only one DNF. Here's his thoughts heading to Chicago.
We had a really good car all night long. We qualified well, raced really well. A couple of the restarts got hairy, and I had to let guys go just to stay out of trouble. Our ultimate goal was to make it into the chase tonight, and it's a little hard. You race so much differently than when you're just kind of all out. And the guys that you're racing have already won, so they have nothing to lose. They're racing for the win, so it's definitely two different styles of driving. But we had a great car and made good decisions. All those cautions were unbelievable with trying to manage your tires, and tires are huge here. So at the end, it was a little bit crazy. And then I saw the 5 car getting up there. I'm like, oh, we do not need the 5 car to win right now. He had a really good run tonight. But yeah, our guys did a phenomenal job. I mean, the road crew, the pit crew has done a great job all year long, and the shop for the last 6 weeks has given us some incredible race cars to drive. And Kyle was able to win at Michigan, and we've just had really good cars since then.
Wow, Joey, it's a fun mix of stories and drivers heading into this chase, veterans and young guys. It's going to be a blast, I think.
Yeah, the guys that haven't performed well better have amnesia. The guys that have want to keep that momentum. We also have 2 series going to Chicago to clinch their chase standing.
Absolutely. The Truck Series, Xfinity Series will be there to set their chase fields, and Camping World Truck Series will have that on Friday, Xfinity Series on Saturday. Sunday, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 400 from Chicago, beginning at 1:30 Eastern Time Sunday. I'm Woody, he's Joey. See you next week.
You've been listening to MRN Motorsports Monday, presented by Outback Steakhouse. Tune in again next Monday at noon Eastern for all the latest news, results, and interviews from NASCAR on MotorRacingNetwork.com. Brought to you by Hercules Tires. MRN Motorsports Monday is also available on demand at the MotorRacingNetwork.com Media Center. Or you can download it from iTunes or Stitcher. MRN Motorsports Monday is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.